Hey guys, it's Kayla.
And I'm Mark Allen.
And this is our channel. Here we talk about all things Disney, and today we are giving you our review of Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort.
So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.
Alrighty guys, so today we are giving you our review of the resort that we stayed at on our latest trip over New Year's, and that is Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. Okay, so overall, we really liked this resort. I thought that it was a really beautiful resort. We went over New Year's, so the holiday decorations were still up, which was really nice. So I really thought overall it was just a very beautiful resort. I like that it has that very Disney feel, but it's not like in your face, like cartoony Disney, like some of the resorts that we've stayed at before.
Yeah, one of the things that I personally really liked is just the exterior theming here. And it kind of like what Kayla said was that it doesn't have that like kitschy kind of, overtly Disney, but it still has the Disney, ambiance and service and everything like that. That's definitely not lacking here by any means, but it doesn't have like huge Disney statues. So if that's something that you're, really not into, you want to take note of that here.
One of the things that I really liked about the outside was the roads. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but the way that they do the pavement it really kind of was reminiscent of those kind of older style roads. Like you could visualize like carriages going down.
Yeah.
And kind of thing. And I just thought that was a really neat detail. It's very subtle, but like it really makes a big difference. But I just really loved a lot of that attention to detail. That kind of bumps it up a level from the value resorts. But I will say it's probably not like quite as crazy detailed as, say, a deluxe resort.
Yeah.
It's got that really nice kind of middle ground.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, they really do. They do a very good job of all of the little things all around. Even like all the Mardi Gras kind of stuff that's in Sassagoula is really neat.
Yeah.
I love the little like alligators that are playing the instruments and stuff. I just think those are really fun.
Yeah, I would say the pool area and like walking up to the pool is like the most kitschy thing about this resort.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you won't really find it here. So
yeah. But then that kind of brings us into our next thing, and that is the rooms. So we've gone outside, now we're going inside. The rooms, I would say, are lacking a little bit as far as theming and ambiance. The room as a room itself, like just as a place to sleep, that sort of thing, we loved. It was great. It was wonderful. The beds were great. The fact that it had like 2 sinks in the bathroom was really awesome. We stayed in a standard preferred room.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that it was pretty close to the lobby, but at the same time it was kind of on the back side of a building, so it was very quiet, which was really, really nice. But I do think that the decorations could have used a little bit of updating. I think they're probably due for a remodel here soon.
Yeah, I would agree with that. To me, it was still a very, well-kept, clean room. We didn't have any issues with cleanliness or anything like that. But as far as the theming goes, in my personal opinion, I just would have liked to see that maybe carried a little bit from the outside and brought inside to the room. Just a little bit more. It wasn't enough to where I was like, wow, this does not feel like we're staying at Disney. It still had that feel, but not like it really did with some of the other resorts, I guess we would say that have stayed at.
One thing that I did really like about French Quarter is that they had a lot of amenities. Now, obviously, we'll start kind of with your basic ones. So the food court is called Sassagoula Floatworks, and it's that basically like what I said. It's a food court style dining. So they don't really have like a sit down like table service restaurant. It's basically you have like your different stations of different types of food. You go get it, you pay for it, and then you can go find a table wherever to sit. We didn't actually get the chance to eat there, so I can't really say like how the food was, but
It looked good.
Yeah, it looked good. But we did have some beignets, which were amazing.
Yeah.
Now, pro tip with this, the beignets are actually not in Sassagoula. They do have a little bit of they do have a bakery case with some things. So like we got like a king cake from there, but the beignets you actually have to go out of Sassagoula into the Scat Cat Lounge cafe, which is literally like next door to it. That's where all of your beignets are, and they are hot and fresh, and they are so good.
Yeah. If you're staying here and you don't get beignets,
you're a crazy person.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the next time we go back, we aren't staying at French Quarter, but we might have to make a trip just for beignets.
Maybe.
Like, they were that good. I would definitely go out of my way for those.
But then attached to Scat Cat Lounge Cafe is Scat Cat Lounge, which I think they just recently remodeled that. They have live music now, which is really fun. We got to experience that a little bit. We got there like 15 minutes before they were closing up one night, and so I got like a drink. They have all kinds of fun mixed drinks and like a full bar kind of thing. Yeah. And then you just kind of get to sit and chill and listen to the music, and it's kind of a really nice place to kind of unwind after a crazy day. If you aren't quite ready to go back to your room and go to bed yet, but you still want to kind of unwind, that's a really, really great option.
Yeah, and they're fantastic musicians too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's all, jazz, like New Orleans type jazz, and man, they were like grooving up there. Yeah. I wanted to like go up there and join them, but they were just so good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then they also have a really great gift shop. The gift shop had some cool stuff. They definitely had some unique items to the resort, of course, as most resorts do, but it was a pretty decent size. They had a trading pin board, so it was like just set up right next to the register, so you could do your pin trading there if you wanted to. And that was the place that I found my Arendelle Aqua ears. I had been on the search for those for a long time, and they just had 2 pairs left. And I was like, wow. And the lady told me, she was like, yeah, we've been out of those for a really long time. I'm surprised we have those now.
Yeah. You only got one, though.
Yeah, I only got one, no, yeah. But yeah, I thought the gift shop was really fun, too.
Yeah, and they have, like, plenty of snacks and things like that. Oh, yeah. Now, obviously, you're not going to find, like, the cooler section and things like that here that you would at one of the DVC resorts, because there's no microwaves and things like that in the room, so you won't find that here. But
if you do need some grab and go items, they do have grab and go items at Sassagoula.
Yes.
And of course they also have like the pool, which again, our trip was very short, so a lot of these things we didn't really get to experience, but we did walk by and we got to see them. So they had a pool that looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, it looked like a ton of fun.
I believe they had laundry facilities too that were like in the pool area.
And there was a jacuzzi.
Mm-hmm. And so there was some other things like that which were really, really nice.
So the next thing that we are going to talk about is transportation. And this was actually one of the first areas that we noticed some issues with. So as far as transportation goes, they really only have 2 forms of transportation, almost actually 1.5, because they have the buses, and that will be your main form of transportation here. And they also have the Sassagoula River Cruise. Now, the only place you can really get to with the river cruise is really Disney Springs. You're not going to be able to get anywhere else. And that's kind of why I said 1.5, because you can't get to the parks this way. Now, of course, you have minivans and Ubers and things like that can take you, but we're mainly talking about free transportation, included transportation.
The boat was nice. We ended up using that once to go from Disney Springs to our resort, which that was a whole adventure, and I'll link that vlog above. But basically, we were like at the very end of the night, and I didn't know what time those were closing, because they like closed before Disney Springs was closed, which was
Yeah.
weird to me, but whatever. And so they kind of made an exception and ended up taking us to our resort because technically, like, they were done for the night. But that was it's a long boat ride for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably no slower than a bus ride, but don't necessarily think that it's going to be faster.
Yeah.
Just depending on where you are and what the circumstance is. But it is kind of fun to do a different form of transportation than the buses. So that was fun. It was fun to ride the boat and just kind of cruise along the river. It gives you that Louisiana, like, down in the bayou kind of feel, which, I don't know, I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And then the buses, so they have 2 bus stops. So all 4 parks all of the parks and the water parks and everything, they just use these 2 bus stops, which was a good thing and a bad thing. It was nice because the resort is so small that there really weren't a lot of people, and so you never really had a super, super full bus, really at any point. The only time I think we had a full bus was after New Year's, which that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. But on the flip side, I know I got really frustrated because you were supposed to be able to see, like, your bus times or like the next arriving bus on either My Disney Experience or on the TV monitors that they have at the bus stations.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal was, but none of those were working at all during our trip. Like, there was not a single time that, and if they were, the times were not accurate. They were like 20 minutes off.
Yeah.
Like, that far off inaccurate.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I don't know, it was kind of one of those things where I know I just would get frustrated because I'm like, when is the bus coming? Is the bus coming? Should we just do a minivan? Would it be faster? I don't know.
Well, and the other issue that we had was one morning we were going, I don't remember where we were going, but say, for example, if we were waiting for Magic Kingdom, there would be like 3 Epcot buses before 1 Magic Kingdom bus would come.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you can insert whatever park you want to. And so the timing just was not...
The frequency of buses was a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not one of those things. It's not a make it or break it thing for us. Like, I would totally stay there again. I didn't mind it. Especially because we were there during New Year's, which was a very busy time. And so, I mean, it really wasn't bad. It was just one of those things that it's things to be aware of, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
It wasn't awesome, but it wasn't unpleasant either. All right, and then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is pricing of the resort. This is a moderate resort, so it's kind of your middle tier. I would definitely say you're paying for the ambiance.
Yeah.
I would say the room quality was very similar to a value. Just because it, again, like I said, it wasn't super updated. It was just a basic hotel room. But at the same time, the ambiance of everything else in the resort is just really beautiful and very well done. So, price-wise, I think that's just something you have to decide. It was several $100s more to stay at that resort than it was to stay at Pop Century or
for the entirety of our
trip. Than it was to stay at Pop Century or All Star Movies.
Yeah.
But it was significantly cheaper than staying at a deluxe. And so I think that's kind of just where you have to decide kind of where your priorities lie. If you are, say, a couple and it's your honeymoon, but you don't really have a big budget, this would be a great place to stay. I mean, it's very quaint and quiet, and it has kind of that more romantic feel, but there's not screaming children running around everywhere. Yeah. And it's not like super kiddie, cartoony in your face all the time either.
Yeah.
It's that really good mid-ground.
But I would say, like, if you do have kids, that this would be a great resort to stay at. I mean, the theming and the pool and everything like that, like, I feel like little kids would really, really love that.
There's so much to look at, and the lounge, I think, you're still allowed to go in there if you're not, like, if you're underage too. So, I mean, that might even be fun to listen to the music, but like, there's just a lot of fun things there that it still is totally kid appropriate.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think that's just kind of where you have to look at your budget and see where it fits.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was, for Disney prices, I think it was very reasonably priced.
Yeah, the moral of the story is, look at your situation, look at your budget, and, really crunch some numbers here, because, the room can be one of the biggest areas to save money, but it's also one of the biggest experiences and things that you can come home remembering. And so you really have to, look at those numbers, look at your family, who's all going on that trip with you, and really sit down and have a discussion with your family and what works for you.
So overall, I would 100% stay at French Quarter again.
I absolutely would too.
I absolutely loved that resort. It was so fun. It was so beautiful. I loved eating the beignets. I loved sitting in the lounge. I loved that when I walked in my room, there was little Mardi Gras beads in the shape of a Mickey. Like, I really, really enjoyed that resort, and I would highly recommend it again.
It's a beautiful resort, too.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish that we would have just spent a little bit more time just walking around and just looking at all the theming of the exterior buildings, because it was unlike a resort that we've ever stayed at before.
Well, and honestly, we probably would have, but I got super sick on that trip, so there's that. But yeah, well, anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up, and as always, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of our other fun Disney content or home vlogs or crafts or whatever else that we do on this channel. And other than that, we will see you guys next time. Bye.